That was autosave, so that's kind of a good thing because it's always good to have a backup. So here we go. We have this pattern on this piece. And then what we're going to do, as I mentioned earlier, and I just want to make sure I am on this specific piece right here. So again, Control, Alt, and right click. And then I'm just going to copy this folder, or I'm sorry, this layer right here. And just go over to this one, Control, Alt, click, and paste. And same with this one. As soon as this does its thing, there it is. And notice that the patterns are different in each one, which is perfect. So it's just a really quick way of getting this done. All the edges are, the edge wear is applying to the different pieces. Again, that's all happening because of the different maps that we have over here. Okay, and what I want to do here is this one, it looks like the squares are a little bit smaller than this, so I can do a quick repair here, again, just by going into the jungle camo, going into its settings, and once again, let me make this a little bit wider. Here we go. That actually works even better. And then what I'm going to do is just make the scale a little bit bigger, like so. And it's really touchy, so maybe I can type it in, maybe go to 0.5, maybe go to 0.4. There we go, and that's perfect. Okay, so now again, same thing. I can either copy this latest version of this, so copy layer, go to this piece right here, and paste. Right. So I'm doing quick work of adding these over to here, and it looks like this one is a little bit too similar to this one, specifically this shape over here. So to mix it up, all I got to do is just go to that pattern and offset it a bit this way, and I'll have a different one. Here we go. All right, so those are done. And now another other areas where I can apply this is this disk over here. So same thing, paste layer right there. And so that's going to be this rotating piece over here. And then, okay, and then this one over here, this little hinge that we have, same thing, paste layer. And for these dots here, I'll probably put some reflective material on them, but this part right here is going to get that same layer. And again, it's doing its thing. You can see the progress bar in the bottom. So we'll let that cook for a minute, and there it is. And let's look at how it compares to the rest of the mech, and it looks fine. So far, so good. And then maybe this part of the gun will have that same pattern as well. So let me go ahead and select it and paste layer there as well. So here I'm just, again, picking one substance that I basically made, and I'm just applying that to all these different parts, and that looks good there as well. And I think these legs, these platforms on the back could get that as well. So here I'm just going to go ahead and select them and paste layer as well. So just a lot of repetitive work here, but it kind of gives you an idea of what we're doing. And then soon after, I'm not going to, if there are other parts that are going to take this, I'll go ahead and place them myself. But this looks too reflective here again, so let's go ahead and offset it a little bit. The scale is right. Maybe the scale, let's see, yeah, it's too small, and that's okay. And then if we just offset it a little bit and rotate it, maybe we can get a little bit of different pattern. I think we're going to get a reflective pattern either way, but that's fine. Okay, so then I also need to apply that to all these different mechanical pieces over here. I haven't made that decision yet, but let's go move on to some other parts. So let's move on to the guns over here. So in this smart material list, I think there's a gunmetal one. Let's see. Here we go, blue gunmetal. So we'll just drag and drop that over to the barrels here, and that should be pretty straightforward, and that looks okay. It's a little bit actually that looks fine. Okay, so that's going to get that material. So is this barrel. So again, just drag and drop, And this big round thing over here is going to get that as well, because these are all part of the same mechanism. And let's see what that looks like. And you can see all the weathering and everything is done for us, so we don't need to do any of that. And this will also generate all sorts of maps. Now for this one, I don't know if I like these big scratch marks. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and go into that material. Here are the scratch marks, and I'm going to go ahead and reduce the opacity of them to see if that would look any better. That didn't really make that much of a difference. Let's see if there's any other metalware. Let's see if I reduce that, if that's going to make it a little bit less. And that looks like it really didn't as well. So let's go ahead and see scratch. Here, what if I just hide that? Yep, that did it. So here I basically have the material, but I don't have the scratches, and that looks pretty good for me right now. And so I'm going to be applying that same material over to this top part, but these are basically there to absorb heat. So they're going to be a little bit of a different color. So they're not going to be this color. And so I can go into the material here and look at where the base is, and there are the colors. So if I take this brown away, this gets a more bluish tint. And then what I need to do is this blue color over here, I need to change it to maybe be something more reddish. So I just need to find that color. Here it is. And let's go ahead and change it more to a reddish color, like the orangish color, because that's basically going to be absorbed by heat at some point, and then it's going to discolor it a little bit more this way. Right, and I could probably go a little bit brighter than that too, like so. Okay, and that is exactly what we want. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm just going to take this entire folder, copy it, and or this, copy it as a layer, and then just go over to the one on the bottom and just paste it. So this actually is a pretty fast process, and I can probably get the gun pretty much done very quickly this way. And I'm also going to go back to this big barrel over here and choose its folder, and then go to this back part and paste, and also go to this part right here and paste it as well. And last but not least, I also want to apply it to these top handles. So I'm going to paste it to these top handles as well. And this one I probably will do something else, because these can be detached and reattached. So that's looking okay. And then I also want to go to this middle part here and paste that layer there too. Okay, and that's looking good. Now, note that this is a little bit different than the others, and that's because I didn't end up using UVs for this, because I'm just going to apply some sort of material to it. But here, I want this to be a lot darker. So I'm going to go ahead and, just for our sake here, because I'm going to redo this in Substance Painter, I'm going to go ahead and go into the base here and choose the blue and make it a much darker color, like so. And hide color B for it, and I don't think it's going to be showing up, because again this doesn't have UVs, so we're just going to leave it as is. Right, let's see. Yep, so it's just going to be that color. Let me see if I can actually do one other thing here, and that is if I hide this, and if I go to this base surface and make that darker, I think that might help a little bit. Or not. Okay. Let's try metalware, make that darker as well. Here we go, that did it. So now I've got kind of a darker material there. Doesn't really matter that I have a lot of wear and tear on it, because I think the rest of the gun is kind of carrying that weight. Okay, so, and then going back to this camo pattern over here, I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and then add it to the cylinder, paste layer as well, which basically is the cylinder that holds the guns together. And there is that. And notice here that the pattern is not what I want it to be, so here again I need to go in and adjust the scale a little bit to get it to work better. Maybe something like this. All right, so that's that. And then let's go ahead and work on these cloth pieces. So there is actually a cloth camo pattern here as well. And I'll just scroll down to it. These are the regular camo patterns. And then there's a few, I believe, down here. Here we go. So there's a fabric that's clean, there's a dirty one, and then there's a used one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick that used one and drop it on one of these. Let's start out with this one. And let it churn for a couple of seconds, and then we'll see what that looks like on this leg over here. So here we go, there's the progress, and there it is. Okay, so I want to do a few changes to this. First thing is, I'm assuming that this material is not really this matte cloth, that maybe it's a little bit glossier. So the first thing I want to do here is go ahead and go to the fabric that we have. And again, it's that same pattern. And I might change the scale of it to be a little bit bigger, just to match that of the Mech itself. And what's nice here is that it also has that little cloth pattern inside. And this seems to be okay. I think the only thing I need to do is make it a little bit glossier. And that's done with the roughness here. Let's go ahead and make that about there. And see if that adds a little bit of gloss to it. And I think it did to the cloth inside, but maybe not the outside part. So let's go to the used edges over here and mess with its roughness as well. And that's going to be this kind of rough white pattern that's on there. And then let's see if the folds themselves also have a roughness that we can adjust. Let's go ahead and see up here. This one does not, but let's see if this one does. Okay, I think this is the placement grid that just popped up, which we don't really need to do anything with, but let's go over to here and adjust the roughness down. And I just want this to be a little bit shinier than it is because it's probably some sort of a rubbery material. So let's see here. So I just go all the way down. It's getting it a little bit, but I think maybe this one is the one I need to even crank down some more. Yep, so here we can kind of see that it's a little bit more reflective. I think that's a little bit way too much. Get it back to here, and that's good. So once again, I think I need to make this pattern a little bit bigger. Size-wise, so I'm going to go ahead and do it here and see what we get, and that's good enough. And then also crank it up with the UV scale over here a little bit too. The other direction, maybe like about there. Okay, so I like that. What I'm going to do again, now that I have this pretty much the way I want it, I'll go ahead and copy this layer, and then Control right click on this and paste. Control right click on here and paste as well. And I'll just wait for this to kind of take. Here we go, and paste. All right, so I'm going to stop the camera and go ahead and do the rest of these legs, and then come back. So I have one other different kind of thing I'm going to do, and we're pretty much almost done with texturing this whole mech in a very quick way. And after that, we'll add a few maybe stencils and decals and whatnot, and then we can export these maps out and load them into Substance Painter. Similar steps to what I did before. I just went ahead and pasted these same layers on the different legs, and also made these extremities with that kind of camo texture as well. And what I'm going to do next is add a little bit of human elements. So a lot of this is just basically algorithmically generated. So I want to add a human factor to it. So here I'm going to select the hull. And what I'm going to do is between the jungle camo and the metal, I'm going to add a paint layer. So I'm just going to go in here and add a paint layer, and there it is. And then in this paint layer, I'm going to go ahead and choose a color. Maybe I'll choose a darker color here, and start adding a little bit of paint here. And notice that it's adding the paint in the masked area. So maybe I'll add that paint layer over here, like so. Okay, and then let's see. Yep, that's exactly what I wanted. So I can do both. I can add a little bit to the camo here. So let's say I want to make this a little bit darker over here. Just add some specks in that layer, and then in this one, go in and maybe make this part in here. Let me change my brush size to be smaller, like so, and just maybe pick even a darker color than this, and start adding a little bit of manual detail, and then going over to this dirt layer and augmenting it a little bit as well. So now it basically doesn't look as kind of machine generated, and then do the same in this area over here, similarly to this one, like so, and that just adds a little bit of visual interest that is going to be breaking up this unique pattern. And I'll be adding some decals as well in a minute, but just, you know, if I want to darken up, let's say, some of these crevices additionally, I can just go in here and go to those layers and just touch them up. So just minor little tweaks here and there make a huge difference. So I'm just going to do some in this crevice over here and see if I can do something similar in the back. And I'm trying not to be symmetric here, just to break the symmetry a little bit, and just put some random little spots, you know, where things could have happened, and you know, just random touch-ups. And I can always increase and decrease the opacity of this too to really make it more a little bit more subtle. But it definitely does show up. So here I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, they're probably we're working on this one area, so maybe there's a little bit more work there. And then go in here and also touch it up like so. Okay, so this basically makes that stand out a little bit. Maybe add a little bit of dark color there, and then do the same thing with a lighter color, maybe something like this, and then just go, you know, touch up maybe some areas just with a little bit of lighter color. Maybe this is a little bit too saturated, a little bit darker. And this is just like painting in 3D. It's just really nice. And again, the more time you have, the more you can spend in doing this detail. But I just thought I'd show that to you as part of the process, because it definitely makes a little bit of a difference to kind of break up the machine generated or the algorithm generated stuff here. And if just a little bit of a human element makes a little bit of a difference to some of this, where, you know, there could be some random thing that maybe created this this dirt. And nice thing is there's also a lot of different really cool brushes that come with Substance Painter. So they are right here, brushes, and you can use like these different brushes and just kind of, maybe that's a little bit too heavy-handed, maybe pick a smaller brush size here and just, you know, put some little bit of different types of dirt and knickknacks on the surface, just to break up that kind of machine generated pattern. So let's see, there's some chalk patterns, charcoal patterns, like some streaks. There's some interesting ones, and I don't know if the intention of these is to do what I'm doing, but it works out really well. And so you can just go in and pick a different color here and just go in. I'm kind of staying in the same area, but just go into different areas and just drop a little bit of paint here and there, just to break up some of these areas. Okay, so there's that. And then the other thing you can also do here is there's a particle system that's really kind of interesting, where you can add different types of particle effects to it. So here maybe there's some leaks, and let's go ahead and do that. Maybe try to add some of those over here, and you just basically touch the different area. And maybe I need a bigger brush size for this. and it basically goes ahead and adds a little bit of an effect to it. So it takes a little bit of time. So here it basically created a leak effect on here. So again, this is a nice way to break up that machine generated look. So I'm just adding a little bit of maybe rain or whatever to this layer, and then I'll go ahead and do some to this one as well. So now you can kind of see that it added a little bit of interesting stuff. Let's do it on the top a little bit, and that just adds a little bit of noise to the edging, and then we'll do it to the surface as well. So that just creates kind of more of a, maybe, you know, there was weather on top that makes this top part a little bit more different. And you can see here that it's really making a cool impact. And again, I'm adding this to the paint layer, and I can always reduce the opacity of it if it's too heavy-handed. So there's that, and then similarly here I can do the same thing. And yeah, so that basically breaks it up even more and gives you more of a natural look. So I'm getting pretty close to being done here. I didn't do these because I also wanted to show another way of working, which is layering, right? So first, what I want to do is go back to these smart materials and maybe choose something like that gunmetal we worked with before, right here. And maybe apply this, and I'll just choose this one as the one to start with, and I'll apply this as the kind of undercoat. And then on top, I'll go to one of these guys over here and pick that folder right here, copy it, and then come back to this one and paste it over the gunmetal. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and paste that layer. So I've got the camo metal layer on top, and then I've got this on the bottom. So right now it looks like it's just like the one on top, but what I want to do is I want to show some of the gunmetal through, so that you know, when these balls are moving around, they basically are scratching around, and it's basically scraping off the paint. So to do that, I will use what's called a smart mask. So there's quite a few of those here. And then I'll go ahead and find a smart mask that works. Maybe dirt and cavities might be a good one, or dirt ground. Let's see if there's some that work really well here. And some of these I could also use on the legs. I'm not going to do it in this case because I'm just going to do it with these parts. So dirt soft edges, maybe this one is a good one. So I'll just drag and drop this mask onto the top piece over here. And now you can see that it shows up, the under gunmetal shows up through here. And what I can do here, and this is based on the curvature and there's the mask right there. So what I could do is I could click on the mask and invert it, see what that looks like. So now I've got this showing up more, but the under part is showing up a little bit less. So let's go ahead and see if we can have more of that under part show up. So let's see, the opacity here I could change, and then the curvature I can change a little bit as well, the opacity, and then let's go ahead and go to these levels and see if I change these levels around, if I can get more of that bottom part coming through. I think this is just the inversion, so I don't think this is going to make a big difference. Maybe that mask wasn't the best one to add, so I'm just going to go ahead and undo a few times to get back to the point before adding that mask, and try adding another one, maybe one of these scratchy edge ones. So let's go ahead and see. Here we go. Maybe this one right here, fabric edge damage, edges uber, edges strong scratch. Let's see if this one works. So I'm just going to add that one here, and I think that looks a lot better. So I can see the camo pattern a little bit, but it's showing through. And then again, I can invert that mask. Okay, and this is getting closer to what I want. And what I can also do here is, let's see if I reduce this level. So yeah, I can reduce the level a little bit. And also another thing I can do here is go to the erase. And let's see if this works. Eraser. And see if I can just erase some of this mask. Maybe not, but I think pretty much I got the result I wanted, where I can see that metal part here in these sharp points. So this is all good. What I'm going to do now is take these two folders and add them to a new folder. So I have one folder that will incorporate both of this jungle cam as well as this gunmetal in one folder here. And let me change the order back. Okay, there we go. And so now I can just copy this folder, or copy this layer, and just go over to these guys and paste it. Oops. I think this popped up. Let's get rid of it. And just do that paste layer. There it is. So it's going to take a couple of minutes to resolve itself, and there it is. And then we'll do the same one to this socket, ball socket over here. And I need to remember not to paste in here, but to paste in here. Okay, so paste layers. There we go. And last but not least, this front one. Okay, so pretty much we have everything we need to get done. I guess I need to do these two things, and for those I'll just go ahead and do something really simple. I'll go into materials here and find a simple material like, let's see, some sort of matte material I think will be fine. And there's there's the embarrassment of riches here, where we have so many materials, and I usually would kind of create a lesser version of this, but here we go. There was one, hammered steel, hexagons rubber. I just need just a simple material, iron bumped, chainmail, and rusty iron. A lot of these are really interesting, but the one I need is just a very kind of simple plastic. So here we go, plastic base. And so what I'm going to do is just copy that plastic base and place it onto these little ammo canisters. And I'm going to do the same thing to this little canister over here. But of course we are going to make some changes to it. So I'm just going to go here and go into this one, of course change the color to something more along the lines of what we've got going on here, maybe a dark green, like so. I guess I'm doing this one first, and that's okay. And we're going to increase that roughness so it's not so shiny, but maybe about kind of halfway, maybe about there. That's good enough. And I'm going to leave that unweathered because it's probably something that gets taken off and put back in. And then we're going to do the same thing to this piece right here, where we're going to change the color to something different. And here I'm going to actually go sample a color from what we've got over here. Maybe this color. Let's see, something a little bit darker maybe. How about this one? Perfect. And then reduce that opacity. And this is looking a little bit too new as well. And what I could do here is I can probably augment this with a paint layer and then do a masking on it or something like that. But I think for the most part, I'm just going to leave it like this. I think that's good enough. And I think for the most part, this is done. Right, so the last thing I'm going to do is add some decals, and then it's ready to be exported out. Time to add some decals, and decals are found in the textures area here. So these are ones that I purchased from, I think, a fellow called Chris Glenn. And there are a bunch of them here that I imported in. So to import them, it's just a matter of going to File, Import Resources, and then you choose your resources and make sure that you choose textures, and they'll come into textures. You can also import alphas. and those can be used as stencils. So you can either projection paint these or you can use them as stencils. Either way, they work really well. So let's go ahead and go into textures, and note that all of your maps are also here in the textures area. So you can find them in here as well, but you don't really need to use them. So here's a bunch of really cool ones that we can add to our mech. So the first thing we're going to do here is switch to orthographic view. And then by using Shift and Alt, you can lock this to an angle. So I'm going to lock it to the front here. And let's go ahead and find a good one to use here. Maybe this one right here could be a nice one to put in the front. So first thing we want to do is we want to add a layer in which it's going to go. So I'll just go in here and click on Add Layer. And we want that layer to be in between the jungle camo and the dirt, because we want the dirt to be applied to that stencil as well. Okay, so now that we've got the stencil here showing up in the layer, and notice here that in the layer itself there is a portion here. If I go to projection paint, and that's what I've chosen here, under projection paint there is a place where you can specify where you want that to be. So let me just go to the properties of projection, and that's over here, which is the projection color. And you can drag a different one into here. If you don't want that one and you want this one, you can have that one or this one. So you can just click and drag from your shelf into the color area. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back to the initial one we had, this one, and find a good location for it, maybe over there. And with the S held down, you can rotate it or you can scale it. So with the S held down, you can use the exact same keys you do to scale, rotate, and pan, which is the Alt keys in Substance Painter, just like Maya, just like ZBrush, more or less. And if you just click Alt down, you can move your object, and then if you hold S down, you can move the decal. All right, so here I'm going to go ahead and rotate it, maybe have it be like so, and I think if you hold Shift down, it snaps it to 90 degrees, and I think this is a good enough place for it. And then it's just simple, drag on the surface, and then I just place that there. So there it is, and notice that it is under the dirt, so that's really cool. And if I want to erase a part of this, I can just go to the eraser here and erase part of it. So here I'm just going to make my brush size smaller, and I'm doing that by holding down the Alt key, and I think it's right click, and that's too much. Let me see if I can decrease the flow here of my brush so it's not as destructive, and then you can maybe choose a different type of a brush as well here. So I'll just go into the brushes and maybe choose something like this and size it down, and maybe take off some corners here to make this more or less kind of harsh. Here we go. Okay, so that's over there, and then we can go ahead and put some different ones in different places. And you want to just, not have these be so prominent. So here I'm just tapping it with this brush with the eraser, is just kind of giving me a little bit more weathering on it. And yeah, that white is really kind of clashing. So I'm going to try and get rid of as much of that white as I want. Probably the soldiers kind of scratch it out too. They want the yellow so it's visible, but the white might be a little bit too much. It might be there initially, but they might have kind of used a knife or something to scratch it out. Okay, it's always good to kind of think of scenarios of what's happening and then play those out. So there is that one, and then let's go ahead and find some other textures, and we can do them all on that one layer. So here we're just working on the hull itself, and then let me scroll down here to find some other ones, and here I could probably make these medium size so I can see more of them. And here we go, and just get to the textures here. There's quite a few, and then maybe there is some sort of a let's see, one of these signs over here that should be on the hatch down below. And again, you can just kind of take your time and place these anywhere you want. And so let's see, how about, and let me lock this into place first. So Shift Alt locks it into place, and maybe there would be an arrow down here, so let's pick that. And again, I'm just going to go ahead and in that layer I'm going to place it as the stencil, or I'm sorry, I'm going to go to projection paint, which is right over here, and we're going to drag and drop that arrow into this like so. There's that arrow, and maybe we can just put one over here and one on the other side. So there's this one like so, just paint it in, and then go over to the other side and press S, rotate the arrow the other way, hold shift down to discrete rotate it, and then pop another one on the other side. There we go. So oops, that's a little bit off from the first one. It'd be cool if this had a had symmetry, but it doesn't, so we'll have to manually do it. Alright, I'm just going to resize this so it's the same size as this arrow, like so. Right, and now I'm just resizing the object itself and not the stencil, and then I'll just move it over to here like so, and I think that's good enough, and just draw it in. So there are those decals, and then maybe we can do a few more. Let's see what other interesting ones there are. Maybe we can do a red one, and little things like this will really break up your kind of your pattern here and create a little bit more of a reality looking thing. So here I'm going to go ahead and choose that one we just had, drag it into here, and it's upside down, so let's go ahead and rotate it, and maybe at that angle, and maybe have it not be so big. So here I'm just basically making the mech bigger, and it seems like I chose this as the brush 2, which is not really what I want, so I'm going to go back 2 brushes and pick maybe this brush right here. Again, keep picking the same one. Let's change it up a bit. How about this one right here? And get the angle right, and paint it in. So yeah, these really kind of make a big difference. And then there's quite a few of these as well. So here I'm going to go to, let's go to the alphas, and let's see if there's some alphas here that are interesting as well that I can add. There's quite a few. These are kind of interesting, so maybe we can add one of these guys, or how about one of these guys right here. And so let's drag and drop that into this area. So you can drag alphas into here as well. They'll just be monochrome. And maybe we can put a big one of those in this area right here, like so. So I'm going to lock this down and draw it in like so. And in addition to having these, it's always kind of nice to have a text as well, maybe a number or something like that that denotes the number of this thing, and this is a prime area for it. So let's see if they have any numbers. I hope they do. Otherwise I'll just import a few in. Let's see, looks like there's all sorts of stuff, but come on, some numbers. No numbers. Oh, yep, here we go. Some text, which is kind of there, and but no numbers. Okay, so I will go ahead and import some numbers in and place them afterwards. I'm going to be using the same technique, so no reason to do that on camera. But let's go ahead and add a couple more here just to kind of push the point across. And I kind of like this one, so I'm going to actually put another one of it in the back over here, like so. And again, lock this in, move it into place. And there we go. That looks good enough, and just paint it in. And the brush itself has that chatter, so I don't even have to go back in and erase it. So there's that. And then maybe we can go ahead and choose this one right here. Let's go ahead and make sure we add it to add that as the stencil, and then rotate this like so, and then rotate the stencil to like that, and maybe this would be like a little guide. Oh, I guess we should choose this object first. So here I'm just going to switch to this object over here by going back to Paint here, Control-Alt right-click, and let's go to Projection Paint again. So this one does not have that layer, so I'm going to add that layer. Nope, not a fill layer, but a layer, just a normal layer. Put it over here in between the camo and the dirt, and then go to Projection Paint, which is this button right here, and I guess that's already in place, and then just paint this one on like so. That looks good, and luckily this is mirrored on the other side, so I just got that for free, which is awesome. And then maybe I'll put a few on this as well, on the different areas over here. So that's basically it. So just doing a little bit of this adds a little bit more visual interest. And then once you are done with this portion, then the next step is to go ahead and export these into textures, which we will load into KeyShot. The last step in Substance Painter is to now just export all these maps and load them into KeyShot. So to do that, life's become a lot easier with a new KeyShot exporter. So we just need to go to File, Export Textures, and under Export Textures, we get this dialog box, which somehow comes up pretty huge here. And this lists all of the different texture sets here, and we can check all of them. We can check the size that they are, the format, which is PNG over here, PNG 8-bit, and that's good. And under config here, we just need to choose KeyShot 9, and if you want to see what that looks like, and this is what the plugin gives you, and you can download this plugin from the KeyShot website. And if you want to find out more about this, if you go to configuration here, this is it right here, KeyShot 9, and it tells you all the different things it's going to export. We don't really need to get into any of that because it's just a simple button push, and we will get all these materials exported. Then we import them as materials into KeyShot and assign them to the Mech in there. So let's get going with that.